Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of our No Bullshit series. This is our crawl, walk, run approach to AI implementation within our business. We're focusing on giving you proper value, cutting out the fluff and the jargon, and cutting straight to the point.
Yeah, thanks, Kiara. We are engaging.io. We are a HubSpot elite partner. We work with CRM platforms as a technical consultancy. We have a lot of AI in our day-to-day organization, which is why we came up with this series of helping you roll out AI within your organization.
Okay, if you haven't seen the first 2 episodes, please go back and watch them. They're very relevant to the content that we discuss in this one. As a quick refresher, though, our crawl episode focused on addressing your goals as a business before you start implementing AI, so you have a clear understanding of where you want to go. It also looked at surveying your staff, so understanding your baseline and linking this to your goals. Then in our walk episode, we build on this further, looking at implementation of an internal AI committee. We also look at testing and documenting use cases, which you can gather from the survey, that you might also gather just from pain points, understanding your own business. In this episode, we're going to talk the run phase of our crawl, walk, run approach. So how do you know when you're ready to run? So this run phase, we're going to focus on training, making sure you're implementing training properly and using good use cases that are relevant to your staff, measuring the outcomes, and then how you can move forward in the long term, understanding those metrics.
Yeah, and with the run stage, that's not a final stage. This will be a constantly evolving process that you'll go through with your organization, especially with AI and AI evaluation, because it's going to constantly change. No one really knows what's going to pop up in the next 6 months or 6 weeks or 6 days. So this process will help you all the way through any future evaluation that you're going to have.
But first of all, let's cover training. So any good training, you got to build muscle, you got to document what you're doing, measure your progress, and you got to have purpose at the start of it. So we focused on training our existing staff and also doing it in a format that we could reuse for new staff. So we knew from our survey what kind of training people preferred. In our use case, everyone wanted live demos and they wanted video formats. So that's what we focused on when we implemented our training. And then also part of that training is looking at retraining. So as Todd mentioned before, these tools evolve. So you cannot just do one training session, walk away and hope that sticks forever. You're going to have to keep revisiting this, especially if you implement a certain tech stack that has new releases, new features. This is a process where you have to keep retraining. Another thing that is worth mentioning here is capturing what worked. So understanding what people responded to in your training, understanding their use cases, getting their feedback in those sessions, and then using that moving forward. So whether that be understanding best prompting practice, understanding where these tools fit into place. It's great to have a plan, but it's also great to listen to your staff and understand where they feel like they need extra help or where they might be falling behind there. It's really important to customize your training by team and by role. Because these tools are so powerful and flexible, it's great to enter this with a mindset of customization. So there's lots of different ways you can do this. And it is difficult if you have a workforce like ours, Todd, where we've got many different departments that are doing very different kinds of work. So how do you train everyone efficiently without doing one-on-one sessions at the start? We really had to focus on what kind of groups were we going to do this in and find use cases that applied to everyone. So we focused on looking at use cases that applied to all these teams. Really basic one is writing emails. So for this one, we looked at what you want to achieve in these email outputs. So if you want it to be personalized, if you want it to use your tone and provide context. One of the examples that I provided in this training was making sure you were using previous examples of emails that you had sent that you liked so that your account could learn and understand your tone and how you communicate. This way, you're going to get a much better output than sending off a follow up this email or follow up on this meeting for me, where you get generic and low value output from using AI.
A really important follow-up point there is don't just let AI send the email for you. It can form the basis of the email, but you certainly need a bit of human touch on top of that. So with training, going to be honest and say one of the things I found really valuable was prompting training and learning the prompting skills and those frameworks. Kiara, do you want to talk a little bit about the importance of that for our team?
Yeah, for sure. This is definitely one that I think a lot of our staff found valuable. And it was understanding not just one specific platform, but the skills that you would need to use across multiple platforms. Right. We use ChatGPT. If ChatGPT went down, though, we now have the skills that we could quickly jump into Gemini, into Claude, into another platform and use those same skills. When we talk about prompting, it was really important for people to understand the value of a good prompt. So, using some kind of framework, we use the Wiser framework where you give a role and really specific instructions. So, one thing that we could do is if you're a marketing assistant, you're helping me with emails. And just a really basic use case there, it helps create a better output than if you give it a generic, I need to write a marketing email. So, even understanding the industry of who it's going to, the context of which they're receiving it, the audience that might be reading it as well, any kind of previous context there really comes into that prompting stage and understanding when you're sending out that first, here's what I want, here's how I want it, and here's the format that I want it in. So, yeah, prompting was a really good one. We can share a few frameworks, there's plenty out there. Okay, so building on prompting, we now looked at establishing some other baseline skills. One was looking at customization, so making sure you customize your accounts and give it good context. And this helped your overall output. Okay, so I talked about confidence. How did we do? How did we measure this? So, what you can see on the screen here is the results from our first and second survey. So, the green shows our first survey results, and the pink shows our second survey results. In this particular question, we were looking at how confident people felt in their use of tools. So, this is on a scale of 1 to 5. In the first survey, we had 63% of our respondents looking at a 4 or a 5. They were pretty confident already. 3 months later, after we've done testing and training and given them time to start using those tools, we saw a shift there to 75% being in that 4 or 5 range. So that was a really positive outcome for us to understand that, yes, we were providing relevant training, but also people were feeling like the skills directly applied to their role and the tools that they were provided there.
Yeah, so really good feedback for us to know exactly that what we're actually giving them and showing them and training them and helping them with is working and they're building their confidence in the space.
So one thing that we get asked this a lot, and I might throw this question to you, Todd, was how do you reallocate that time and that talent that you save? Because one thing with AI, and this is what we were focusing on internally as well, was increasing efficiency. But the back end of that, once you increase efficiency, is what do you do with that extra time that you saved before? Did you want to speak a little bit about how we handled that?
Sure. Yeah. So as I've mentioned a few times throughout this series, our goal with AI was to help us grow, not necessarily replace roles. And part of helping us grow would mean that with the team that we had, that we could be more effective and more productive and produce better outputs. So one of the things that we have seen with AI freeing up time and helping our team, Kiara is actually a really good example on this, where she started within our organization purely as a solutions team member. What we've been able to do with some of the tools is help her free up some time so that she can move more towards this AI and AI solving and helping AI roll out within our organizations. Yeah, really good use case for us there as to how that's helped in that instance. Another good example is within our sales team, where we used to be quite manual in meetings where we would be taking notes. We've been able to transcribe, pretty simple thing, just using transcription tools in AI. But what we've found is that just kept us in the moment within those meetings. So instead of trying to hear what people are saying and type the answers, we can be in the moment with what they're saying so we can get better information from those calls. We can be more engaged with those calls, again, get better outcome. Off the back of that, we've got a really cool AI assistant that helps us with all of our scoping and all of our pitch documentation. So we can put all of that information into that tool, which is then completely speeding up that whole process of going from conversations with clients to scoping and sending out pitch documentation. So what that's meant there for us is that we can handle more calls with the teams that we've got. We can handle a high volume.
Yeah. If you are looking for a quick win to implement today, the context is really important for AI, and transcripts provide really rich context. So it's important to share these wins internally as well. So one of the other things that we looked at here was creating a Slack channel. So we use Slack for internal messaging. And we created an AI everything. So it was any win you had, or if you had a fail, or if you had a question, it was just an open space for you to share and share your use cases and ask for support. And we had everything from really basic use cases of I just got a really great email follow up from this meeting to more complex one where we've built out custom HR assistants that help us internationally and across teams there. So it is a big mindset
Yeah.
shift and you've got to be prepared for that. I think Todd, you really led the team here and it was great to see support from that exec level of finding the time and the space to reallocate the strategy there.
Yeah. And that for us, that AI everything channel has been awesome because there's information that's being published in there that we can feed back to the AI committee for them to put through this crawl, walk, run evaluation. So it's like a nice little self-feeding tool for us.
Great little feedback loop. Yeah. So one of the examples that actually came from this about AI creating space, came from one of our designers. So he shared a use case in our AI Slack channel where something that used to take him 2 hours now took him 15 minutes. So that was a really great win for us to see. It said, okay, now that you've got 80% of this task done quicker, what else can we do? And we reuse that time and we're able to refocus it. As mentioned before, maybe changing a few roles here and there, but also looking at getting those projects done that were always on the back burner. So they may not have taken priority. Obviously, we're an agency, so clients always come first. But sometimes that means that projects that we might want to improve our processes, or maybe we've got like a wish list of redoing the website. I know that was one of my one, which is coming soon because we've got these AI tools. So it was really great to see how we could reuse that time and really maximize the potential with the team that we had.
Doing exciting things like checking our data structure, make sure that was all still awesome, our data hygiene, all those things that you park to the side.
Yeah, I think even on that point, having time to reflect, I think that's one of the hardest things in most businesses is taking the time to step back and go, did that work? How well did that work? What can we do better? So that really gave us that time to reflect and put together a series like this to say, hey, do we want to share this process with other people? Okay. So in that same vein of making sure that you're going back and you're testing and retesting, we just wanted to talk briefly about long-term governance and metrics. So in this crawl, walk, run, depending on your business size, depending on your goals, you might do this in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. What happens after that? All we can suggest here is the tools are going to change, the landscape's going to change, but the framework stays very similar. So making sure you still have your long-term goals, whatever they might be, and that you're aligning your actions with those goals. So for us, we're still looking at internal adoption. We're still looking at building confidence. We're still looking at documenting those wins and understanding how much time is saved, where those processes are best implemented. And we're also looking at our quality of work. So obviously, we don't want this to decrease at all. Early signs are showing that we're doing more work, we're doing it quicker, and we're doing it more efficiently. So we really want to make sure that continues to happen and that we don't just go into autopilot because we've got all these great AI tools that make our lives easier. So it's really about pushing and understanding where you want to push into. So definitely keep testing, stay skeptical of these new tools. Don't let the noise overwhelm you after this process and keep going back to that use case document and using internal resources like your AI community and if you've got an AI channel that you can set up internally so that you can understand these wins long term.
You will find over time that you will have some parts of your AI ecosystem that are in full run and sprint mode. And there'll be new things that will come along where you'll still be in just a crawl phase trying to introduce those. So this isn't just one linear, we got there process. This is something that we're trying to help you with to just evolve your business so that you are ready to introduce these AI tools into your work.
Yeah. I think before we move on in terms of departments as well, depending on what tools are available and the kind of work that they're doing, you may not see the exact same wins across departments. So this is where it is good to have baselines where it's looking at confidence and usage and outside of that, how much time has been saved.
Okay, so we're going to talk through some of our stats there. Show us your stats. What we want to go through here is then just give you a bit of an idea of what some of the wins have looked like for us. But before we jump in there, I do just want to say that in this space, there really is no shiny silver bullet. There is a process that we have to go through, and we are not here to say, if you use these tools, you're going to make X amount of dollars tomorrow. This will always be a journey. There will be wins throughout the journey, but this will always be a journey from now. There is no end result on this. Um, I will hand over to Kiara now. She's going to take you through some of the stats for us.
Thanks, Todd. So all of these stats, again, we're looking at the difference between survey 1 and survey 2, and there was around 3 months in between these. The first one being we hadn't introduced any tools, we hadn't set any baseline goals, we were just understanding where our staff were at and leveraging off that. And then our second survey is after we've implemented these tools, we've rolled them out, we've given specific training by team, by tool, and now we're looking at how far we've come. So we mentioned our confidence stat before. This one is similar, but it's around feelings about AI tools. You will get this a lot in many organizations, depending on your industry and your workforce. But what we realized was it was really important for people to feel like the tool would help them. So not just their confidence in using it, but feeling like it was worth their time and worth their energy. So you'll see here, this is pretty much a step to the right for everything. So again, green is survey 1, pink is survey 2. And we did see a 28% percentage point rise in feelings of being excited and optimistic. So that was moving from being cautiously optimistic to moving to excited and optimistic, which was really encouraging for us to see. So now we have 64% of our workforce excited and optimistic, which is a pretty significant shift in terms of attitude, and it helped us in implementation and rollout in the future because now we have a team who are excited and ready to use the tools, and we're expecting to see long-term efficiency gains from this as well. The next one we wanted to show you was our internal adoption. So this is looking at how often you use AI tools. So green, survey 1 at the start before we'd provided any training. You'll see there's a lot of people that are sitting in that occasionally, rarely, or no, not at all. And a lot of these use cases were very basic. There wasn't much integration in terms of how they use it into their role. Whereas now after survey 2, you can see that a lot of those have shifted into that yes regularly. And we've seen a little bit of a drop in the occasionally as those people move into that regular use. So now we can see here, we've got regular use of AI tools has increased from 30% to around 54%, which again was a really encouraging stat. This is something that we've put in our long-term metrics that we're going to work on and see if we can build that towards 100%. Okay, so this stat was looking at our training.
Yeah.
So training was a huge part for us. We really wanted it to go well. We wanted it to be relevant. We wanted it to work. So this one was actually a great indicator for us to see at the end. So 93% of our respondents from the second survey said that, yes, the training was very helpful. So that was a really good statistic for us and also gave us the confidence that we were training them in the right way, providing a valid and relevant use cases, and that we had approached it in a really good structured way by using this crawl, walk, run framework. We mentioned before about making sure your use cases are relevant. The more relevant it is, the more likely your staff are to pay attention to what you're showing them. So we did ask a question around how did they feel the training aligned with their goals? We had 64% said yes, and 32% said somewhat. So that was a pretty good combined figure of 97% of the yes in the somewhat region. We were pretty happy with that. And
As we head towards the end of this session on Run, we just want to do a quick recap on what we've covered so far. But first, I want to say congratulations to you if you're still with us, and a double congratulations if you've actually implemented any of these processes into your organization, because if you have, that means you've taken a step in the right direction. So what we tried to cover in the crawl was just for you to set your own goals within your business. Like we mentioned, for us, it was about how we can enable growth within our organization. Survey your staff, find out where they're at. Are they comfortable with the tools? Are they scared of the tools? Do they have a knowledge of the tools? And prepare your data, because that's going to be critical to success for you. Because if you basically have bad data, you're going to have bad AI. Then we moved on to the walk phase, where we suggested that you test and document use cases within your organization. They may be existing use cases. And then establish an AI committee. We talked about getting someone from each of the departments within your organization come together and help drive this decision-making. Finally, we covered off preparing to train and how to train with purpose, how to get the best results out of your training so that everyone adopts the tools and the processes that you want. And we've spoken about the training and the results of that training, and then how you need to keep testing. This is not a set and forget. This will always be something that you will be evaluating within your organization. And then also come up with a second survey. We surveyed very early on before we started on this process. We want to survey again just to see how have people's opinions and beliefs and usage changed over time.
That was a great recap. So if you prefer to read everything, we will put all this in our AI implementation guide. And this will outline everything from the crawl, walk, run phase, some of the assets that we've discussed along the way. We'll share some of our stats in there as well. So it would be a really helpful guide that you can save and pop into your own ChatGPT account and tailor to your business. So it'll show you that survey template, the use case and testing template. It'll also share some of our training stats, which you can download by visiting our website.
We think this will help you sell this process internally. This will provide you all the tools that you can take to your colleagues and your executive, that this is a journey that you want to start on, and this will help you get there.
If you want to discuss more, feel free to reach out. You can drop us a line via that email address, visit our website, message us on LinkedIn. We're here to chat. HubSpot is our first and foremost, but we are happy to talk about AI and how that might relate to your business, especially in that onboarding process and understanding how that fits into your current tech stack.
I really hope that you got something out of this series. We certainly got something out of it ourselves, and that's why we wanted to share it with you. All the best with your AI journey. We know that pretty much everyone is going to have to go on it.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks, everyone.